on the fourth out of 5 topics for assessing the forms of ownership for retail business. This lesson is going to be about cooperative ownership types. In our 4th lesson of ownership for retail businesses, we're looking at cooperatives. The learning points we have are knowing what a cooperative is, being able to explain the values and principles of cooperative membership, and then being able to recommend the advantages and disadvantages of this ownership type. The key words we're looking at for this particular lesson are mutual benefit, person specification, dividend, and ethical in terms of ethical trading. So what we need to make sure is that we've got the definition of a cooperative accurately as one of our success criteria. And then we've got a new style of work to do on the values and principles of this style of membership. And then we go to a short essay response in terms of whether being a cooperative ownership style is good. And we're going to do a comparison piece of writing, cooperatives versus limited companies. There's some extra retail jobs for you to have a think about at the bottom as well. For lesson 4, there are 7 tasks to complete. The first 2 are nice and straightforward, some basic facts that I'd like you to record. Then we're looking at number 3, which is the job description and person specification. That's something that's slightly different, but as you're now Key Stage 4, this is an area that will be super helpful for you as you start to approach your post-16 choices, so that you know what a job description needs to look like and you know what a person specification is, because most positions available or advertised now use both. We've got a case study of a cooperative bank, and then to do the advantages and disadvantages, we've got the good old find the fib, and then a short essay response for number 7. Well, first of all, what is a cooperative? A cooperative is an organisation that is owned and controlled by a group of people who have an equal say in the running of the business and receive a share of any profits the business makes. The share they receive is called a dividend. This is a word we've covered before. The owners of a cooperative are known as members. All members invest in and run the business in a democratic way and will have similar needs, so they operate the business for their mutual benefit. Cooperatives are the original people's business, set up by the people for the people. Question 1. What does mutual benefit mean? You'll see that in the yellow and gold paragraph, and we need to look back at the word. If we look at the sentence, all members invest in and run the business in a democratic way, they will have similar needs, so they operate for their mutual benefit. This is also related to the bit at the top when we talk about having an equal say and an equal share of the profits. So we've got equal say, equal share, mutual benefit. Mutual means you share the same values. So there's a lot of sort of nice big tips for you there. Let's write it in your own words in the box underneath number 1. Question 2. What does democratic mean? Now think about democratic in terms of how we like to give everyone a fair say and equal listening to in our classroom. Everyone has the right to an opinion, everyone has the right to be listened. Those are the things that we like in our classroom, we like in our school, we teach them in our school because we want you to know that that's what's needed in the community. If it's needed in the community, isn't that needed in a job, in the workplace, and so forth? It goes on, it snowballs on. So what does democratic mean? There you go. You need to go back over that. I'm not spelling it out to you because I literally have actually given you the definition. It's your turn to write it in your own words. Question 3. What is a dividend? There it is in the green. Let's have a look around all those words to see if we can work it out. We're talking about receiving a share of any profits the business makes, and the share they receive is called a dividend. Are they getting all parts of the profits, or are they getting a share or a percentage? Are they the individual rather, and all members getting that share of the profits? And because of what it is, it's not just called a share of the profits, it's got its own word invented, which is a dividend. So your job is to write it in the box. Shares and votes. A retail cooperative, also known as a consumer cooperative, is where a group of local consumers, remember that, it's the group of local consumers, get together for mutual benefit. They buy products together and sell it for a fair price. The cooperative is owned and managed by members who are also the customers. Consumer cooperatives have three main principles. Number one, each member has only one vote, regardless of the shares they have. Number two, anyone may buy a share and become a member, regardless of race, creed or religion. Number three, goods and services are sold at reasonable prices after business costs have been paid. The profits are returned to members in the proportion that they have spent. So here's your three questions on checking that you've understood this information. Number 4, yes, it's a follow-on from the last slide. Number 4, who owns a consumer cooperative? Clues right at the top in the red. Question 5, how many shares can you own to increase your vote on company decisions? You need to look in the section called the 3 principles and the numbered bullet points. This one is a smidge of a sneaky question, but that's the only clue I'm giving you. And the last one, question 6, when do members see any profit for their investment? Yep, that's in the numbered bullet points. You need to check the 3 main principles in the middle of the page. Cooperatives are run according to a set of values and principles. So here we're just going to stop a second. We're going to stop just going through an activity after activity because I want to make sure that you understand how cooperatives are actually very different from limited companies, from partnerships and sole traders. We've got the next 3 slides is actually all one activity, and we're going to do things slightly differently. We're going to look first at the principles and values. The key principles of all cooperatives are, in the red section, number 1, self-help and self-responsibility. Number 2, democracy. Number 3, equality and fairness. Number 4, social responsibility and solidarity. And number 5, honesty and openness. The key values of all cooperatives are, this is the section in the green. Number 1, membership is open and voluntary, anyone can join. Number 2, members are always in control, no matter how many shares a member has, they only get a single vote at society meetings. Number 3, members contribute to capital and decide how to spend it. Remember, capital is another way of saying the money in order to invest in a business. Number 4, they are committed to education and training of their members and employees. You can be an employee in a cooperative, but that doesn't mean you're a member. Being a member means that you've actually put money into it and you therefore have an ownership of the cooperative. Number 5, they are committed to promoting the development of communities. Number 6, profits are passed on to the members fairly. A job description and a person specification. We're going to look at 2 and we're going to move forward to actually write a job description and a person specification, and we're going to write them based on the values and principles we've just covered, and we're going to make sure we can understand them going forward on the next slide so that we can use the information and see how some of the values are actually related to what type of person you are looking for, because they want a particular type of person who shares their values, and the principles are very much about what actually goes on in terms of the management of a cooperative. So we can look at that in terms of a job description. We only want to write the 2 as a way to encourage membership, and we're only doing this in terms of a classroom exercise. So let's have a look at the scenario. You are a member of a cooperative. Your cooperative needs to attract more members, but they must be the right type of person in terms of their personal values. Use the 5 red bullet points from the last slide to write a person specification of who you would want to become a cooperative member. The person spec on the left in red is an example. The job description is on the right, that one's in green, because that will be the second task we're looking at. So let's look at the red person spec on the left first. If you see the headings, we've got attitude, skills, knowledge, experience, skills. There's a lot about attitude and skills. If we go back to the 5 bullet points from the last slide, we're looking at self-help, self-responsibility, democracy, equality and fairness, social responsibility and solidarity, honesty and openness. That's very, very much in terms of talking about someone's attitude. So in the red box here on this slide, you've got be honest, be willing to do activities, to muck in, to dress appropriately, have common sense. Now here we've got self-help, that's the one from the last slide. So you be able to go and find help yourself, take responsibility and accountability for your own actions. So that would be very much in terms of an attitude. In terms of skills, we've got that word democracy. So that would be what type of leader you are, whether you make sure that you listen to everybody involved and you take a fair attitude in terms of decisions that you make. Oh look, we're going into number 2 and 3. In terms of equality and fairness. We're also moving on to social responsibility, making sure you operate your business ethically. Now that might come under skills, whether you've got experience of doing it, and it could be your an attitude because you've got to show that you're willing to do it as well. And solidarity is all about working together and wanting to back up colleagues and show that you are support each other. So that's your decision then on attitude and skills. And then honesty and openness, well, attitude or skill, is it a skill to be honest or is that an attitude? Is it a skill to be openness or an attitude? So you can work those ones out. Now let's look at the green box on the right. That is the job description. That is a general job description of an office services supervisor, but obviously we're not doing that, we're looking at a member of a cooperative. Now if we think back to the green section on the last slide where we looked at values, we can look at the main duties on this job description and think, well, okay, let's go back to these values and think, well, what things do the values say you have to do? Well, let's go straight to number 3. Number 3 says members contribute to capital and decide how to spend it. So a member of a cooperative has to contribute to capital. They have to have an investment in the business. There's a task. And decide how to spend it. So there's another task. They're part of the decision process in order to spend the investment to the value of the business. So we can turn that into a duty. If we then look at number 4, they are committed to education and training of their members, other people who have invested, and employees, who are the people who get paid to work in the cooperative. So that is a main duty as well, because they're looking at professional development of other members and of the employees. So we can break that down in terms of training, educating, supporting each other. And number 5, they are committed to promoting the development of communities. So we can turn that into a task. We can talk about what community activities are they doing, supporting schools, supporting litter picks, all sorts of things. And profits are passed on to the members fairly. Well, that obviously is a task in terms of making sure that the annual profits, because all companies will calculate their profits annually, and making sure there is a fair process to divvy them up amongst all memberships. Now that leaves number 1 and 2. Membership is open and voluntary, and number 2, members are always in control no matter how many shares a member has. They only get a single vote. So if we're looking at membership is open and voluntary, is that a job description, a duty, a task, or is that actually part of the person spec? There's a clue. And number 2, members are always in control no matter how many votes, how many shares they have, they only get 1 vote. So that could be a experience, knowledge. Is it a task? Operating with only one vote? Yes, that is a task, but making sure you have the right attitude to know that that's how you operate is the best idea. So there we go. There's a chat through all the values and principles and how they relate to these two. In terms of the job title, the department and the purpose of the role, then we talked about a member, we talked about of the cooperative business, and the purpose is about being an investor and part of the decisions. Responsible to, responsible for, as you can see on this green job description, we won't bother with those two because that bit's not quite relevant for our exercise today. Being a member. Hopefully you've arrived at this slide having listened to and read slides 7 and 8 talking about the values and principles. We're going to use the values and principles on those last two slides to now actually write an outline of a job description and a person specification. So I've kept the tables very similar to the ones you've seen on the last slide, so you know that you're using job descriptions and person specs. So your job now is to use that discussion on the last slide when I showed you how to link the values and principles to how you would write them into the person spec and job description. So your job is now to complete these two: the job role, cooperative member, the department, cooperative, main purpose of the role. Is to actually be an investor and to run the business, and you've got main duties to fill in. On the person spec, that's really where you're showing your understanding of the values and principles. So you need to write some detail in there showing all those things from the red and green box in the beginning, putting them in action into this particular person spec, because it's about what type of person they want in their cooperative. Here's a case study about the Cooperative Bank. The Cooperative Group is one of the best known and largest consumer cooperative organisations in the world. It is owned by its members. The following information is taken from their website. Why we're different. We're one of the world's largest consumer cooperatives owned by millions of members. We're the UK's 5th biggest food retailer with more than 2,500 local, convenience and medium-sized stores. We're also the UK's #1 funeral services provider, a major general insurer, a growing legal services business, and we have a minority shareholding in the Cooperative Bank. As well as having clear financial and operational objectives and employing nearly 70,000 people, we're a recognised leader for our social goals and community-led programmes. We exist to meet members' needs and stand up for the things they believe in. So the more successful we are, the more we can give back to you and your local community. That's why we're different. Your case study task. Visit the Cooperative website, that's the link below, and answer the following questions. Number 1, explain with examples how the group has helped the community in recent years. So you have to go on the link to find it out. Question 2, what is responsible retailing? Explain how the co-op has contributed to this. This is highly likely to be an exam question topic. Question 3, what are the benefits of being a member of the cooperative group? That's on the website, obviously. And question 4, would you like to become a member? So that's your opinion. So the answer is not no or not yes. The answer is no and why, and yes and why. This is an extended answer. So the good old pen lesson comes into action now as well. Here's a list of advantages of cooperatives. You need to find the fib. You need to find the rogue one. There's a clue. There's only one of those in there which is not an advantage. It is a disadvantage. So you need to go through each of those and choose which one you think is the rogue one. And at the end, it will actually go red and show you the answers. Number 1, the members feel that they have a real impact in running the business. Number 2, cooperatives often focus less on profit, which leads to better customer service and an emphasis on ethical business practices. Number 3, profits are distributed fairly among the members. Number 4, members enjoy working together and get great job satisfaction from working for themselves and their colleagues. They are therefore more likely to be motivated to succeed. Number 5, there is less likelihood of arguments as members share the same aims and objectives. Number 6, members are more likely to be aware of their responsibilities to the local and larger communities. Number 7, all members have an equal right to speak and contribute to the decision-making process, even if they have little knowledge of the subject being discussed. And number 8, the initial investment required in buying shares and becoming a member is less than other ways of starting a business, sometimes just £1. So there is a list of 8 advantages, and we now need to find out which is the fib, which is the rogue one. So here's the answer. Disadvantage of cooperatives. Here's a list of 6 statements. Some of them are disadvantages. In fact, most of them are disadvantages of a cooperative ownership style. And your job is to find the fib, to find the rogue one. Number 1, decision making can be difficult and may take a long time as everybody has a say in the running of the business. Number 2, it may be hard for members to make tough decisions that will affect their co-workers, such as job cuts. Number 3, cooperatives are committed to the training and education of their employees. Number 4, a cooperative's focus on fairness and ethical business practice may limit opportunities for growth and maximising profit. Number 5, workers in worker cooperatives may find internal promotion or career moves difficult. And number 6, cooperatives may find it difficult to recruit top quality management. The most able candidates usually demand a very high salary. So here it is, the fib, the rogue one amongst the disadvantages of cooperatives. Hopefully you've actually had a think before, and let's check your answers. The big reveal is so we've reached the final question. Here's the statement. Cooperatives can never be as successful as a limited company. Do you agree with this statement? Explain your answer. So we've come across this style before. We've got the table at the top, which is effectively your plan. So write down some notes on being a cooperative, the advantages and disadvantages in the top box, and then the one underneath. And then you might have to refer back to lesson 3 about limited companies just to write a few notes on the advantages and disadvantages too, so you've got some comparison. Now in the box below, that's where you need to write your response. And now remember, your response has to build up in the same style we've gone over with the pen lesson style response, where you start at describe the simple sentences. Then you move up to explain, so you've got detailed but simple language, simple sentences. And then you're looking at analyse and evaluate, where you're building in the complex connectives that we've spoken about. So have a go at that one. Don't be sad, well done. Look at all that work you've now done for lesson 4. You've completed 7 tasks, starting from task 1, what is a cooperative? You've got a bit of careers work involved in there as well, looking at job descriptions and person specifications. But we were doing that in terms of values and principles of how to be a cooperative member. We've got a case study in there, and then the good old find the fib, but with a rogue one twist. And then we've got another example of writing our short essay responses in terms of the comparison essay on the cooperatives versus limited companies. Well done, you made it to the end of lesson 4.